a video game could train you to do something or to think about something in some incredible way. But they just don't, because the market is going to find the thing that brings in the maximum number of people and holds them to the greatest effect and causes them to want to buy the sequel.
Right. Isn't there's a balance, though, between discipline and inspiration? And one of the things that school does teach you is you have to be disciplined. You have to actually get your homework done. You have to actually do things. You have to do things you don't want to do. Delayed gratification. I think that's actually an important component to life, that if you want to be successful, even in things that you're inspired to do, you have to be willing to work when you're not inspired. And that's where discipline comes in.
Wisdom, I argue, is effectively delayed gratification. That, figuring out that investment now, that doing something that doesn't feel good now results in a big reward later, that's a huge part of the key to life. And in part, that's what all of these consumer realms that are stealing from us are taking away. The point is, if you want to be investing in something and you're willing to pay the price of whatever unpleasantness or time or whatever it is that you're spending, and you've got all of these competing things that can give you a hit of dopamine right now, it's very hard to develop that skill.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this sort of entitled world that we live in, where we're so used to things being instantaneous and immediate gratification, that becomes a kind of a core tenet of how we interface with the world. We only are interested in things that give us things right away.
Heather and I used to teach an exercise, something we invented called Learn a Skill, where we would have students define any skill that they wish to learn. It had only one requirement. The requirement was it had to be objective, whether you had succeeded or failed. It couldn't be subjective, right?
Okay.
And the idea was not to get you to learn the skill. That was a collateral benefit. The idea was to get you to pay attention to how you develop a skill, so that you would learn how your own mind learns, and you could apply that to things that you wanted to learn later in life. But what we often found was that these students, these would have been millennials, were very unrealistic about how much effort it would be required for them to accomplish one of these things. And they would just get schooled by how much harder it was to build the thing they wanted to build, or to program the computer to do the thing that they wanted to program it to do, or to play the song that they were hoping to play. Something had trained them that life was easier than it was. And that was kind of a tragic lesson. Right. And
it's the trust fund kid. It's the same sort of a thing.
Yeah, but these weren't trust fund
But
kids.
I mean, I don't even mean it's the what a trust fund kid has. They want things handed to them all the time. And we've kind of like set up a whole society where kids think that things should just be theirs.
Totally.
Yeah. And also we've set up a society where people become exceptional with no merit. Right? Like social media influencers and TikTok influencers are people that they just captivate attention, whether it's by, clickbaity headlines or whatever they're doing, or just like being hot and dancing around in front of the screen. They're doing that, and that has become one of the main things that children aspire to. When they ask kids what they want to do, one of the big things that kids want now is to be famous. It's much more prevalent than it ever was in history. Because before, it was really hard to be famous. If you wanted to be famous, you had to be a real psycho. Like, you had to be like completely ignored by everyone around you, to the point where, like, you know what, God damn it, I am special, and I'm going to show the world. I'm going to be on that stage singing that song, or whatever it was, being in that movie on that big screen. And you had to really want it. You had to be really sick to get to the top. And a lot of them really were. And that's how you made it. And so it was a very rare thing that most people did not aspire to, because they didn't think it was a realistic goal. But now people see people that are nothing. There's nothing special about them, and they're billionaires. Like if you watch the Kardashians, they're cute. Okay, they have nice clothes, but like the whole show is based on very boring people who are living these extremely privileged lives for no reason that anybody can explain that makes any sense. They've generated hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars through no way that anybody could like map out and say, like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, there's no lesson to it.
No lesson to it
at all.
But yet they're the people that people want to aspire to.
Yes, I think that's I think we get a warped perspective because you know, which names do you know? Well, you know
Right.
the people who've succeeded in this realm, and you don't know all of the people who've invested heavily in it and not succeeded.
Right.
But on the other hand, the internet as it stands is a training program for this. So in part, the reason that people become focused on the things that they become good at is because they get some early reward that causes them to return and try to do more, right? I'm convinced this is true. If you went back to the things that each of us are good at, you would find some early experience that caused us to stick to it enough that we ended up good. But everybody is in these social media environments competing for likes. I mean, even just inadvertently, you don't want to put up a post and have nobody react to it.
Right.
You hope they react, and you hope they react positively. So the internet is training people to be influencers. Most of them are not going to make it, but you know, it's like the sports stars who become the irresistible icons in certain communities because obviously that's a whole different world of possibilities.
Right.
So, it brings everybody in. Well, in this case, you've got everybody in a